Welcome to Hoop Zone Sports News. In today's episode, we're tackling one of the most heated topics in the WNBA this season, the tension surrounding Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Despite both players denying any personal animosity, the media and fan narratives have fueled an intense rivalry between these two rookies. Recently, Angel Reese took to her podcast, Unapologetically Angel, to address the darker side of this manufactured feud, shedding light on the disturbing harassment she has experienced from some of Caitlin Clark's fans. Before we dive into the full story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update from Hoop Zone Sports News. Now, let's get into it. The media has been quick to pit Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever against Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky, creating a storyline that suggests a fierce rivalry between the two WNBA rookies. Both players have emerged as top contenders for the Rookie of the Year award, and their battles on the court have been highly anticipated by fans and analysts alike. Clark, with her impressive scoring and playmaking, and Reese, with her rebounding dominance and all-around tenacity, have been compared at every turn. However, both Clark and Reese have repeatedly stated that there is no bad blood between them. Despite the media hype, they've expressed nothing but respect for each other's games. In fact, they were even teammates on the WNBA All-Star team, where they showcased their mutual admiration. Still, the media has continued to fuel the narrative of a rivalry, and unfortunately, this has spilled over into something much darker for Reese. On the debut episode of her podcast, Unapologetically Angel Reese finally broke her silence on the issue and addressed the harassment she's been facing from Caitlin Clark's fan base. Reese didn't hold back as she shared the disturbing details of how fans have taken things too far, with some even resorting to racism and threats of violence. I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, that are like, they ride for her, Reese explained. And I respect that. But sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. Reese's comments highlight an issue that goes far beyond basketball. What should have been an exciting season for two rising stars has been marred by harassment, largely from a subset of Clark's fan base. Reese went on to describe some of the terrifying experiences she has endured, including death threats and invasive actions by fans. When it comes to death threats, like I'm talking about people coming down to my address, follow me home. It's come down to that, Reese revealed. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me naked. They have sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through. But at the end of the day, it's a game that we do both love, but there is no hate on my end. These revelations paint a troubling picture of what should have been a fun, competitive rookie season for both Reese and Clark. While Clark herself has not been accused of any wrongdoing, Reese's claims point to a toxic element within the fan culture surrounding women's basketball, which has led to harassment that no player should have to endure. Amid the off-court drama, it's important to remember that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have had phenomenal rookie seasons in the WNBA. On the court, the rivalry has been fierce but respectful, with both players pushing each other to new heights. Clark, who led the Iowa Hawkeyes to an NCAA championship game, has seamlessly transitioned to the WNBA. As a dynamic scorer and playmaker, she's averaged 18.9 points per game, 8.4 assists, and 1.4 steals, while shooting 42.5% from the field. Her Indiana Fever team has gotten the better of Reese's Chicago Sky in their matchups this season, with a 3-1 record in head-to-head games. Reese, who was a standout at LSU, has excelled in other areas, particularly rebounding. She's averaging a double-double with 13.3 points and a whopping 13.2 rebounds per game. While her shooting percentages, 38.4% from the field, 15.4% from three, aren't as high as Clark's, her physical presence and ability to control the boards have made her a force to be reckoned with in the paint. Statistically, Clark has had the upper hand in most categories, including scoring, assists, and shooting efficiency. while Reese has dominated in rebounding. This competitive dynamic has added fuel to the perceived rivalry between them, but both players have continued to express admiration for each other's abilities. Angel Reese's allegations of harassment bring up a much larger issue that extends beyond her individual experience. Racism and sexism have long been problems in sports, particularly in women's basketball, where players of color often face harsher criticism and more intense scrutiny than their white counterparts. Reese's comments about the racism she's faced from some of Clark's fans are not isolated incidents. They reflect a broader pattern of racial bias that has plagued the sport for years. While it's easy for fans to get caught up in the excitement of rivalries and competition, there's a line that should never be crossed. Harassment, especially of the racist and threatening nature that Reese has described, has no place in sports or society. It's crucial that we, as fans and media, recognize the impact of our words and actions and work to create an environment where athletes can thrive without fear of abuse. Both Reese and Clark are incredibly talented players who deserve to be celebrated for their accomplishments on the court, not pitted against each other in ways that breed toxic behavior among fans. As the WNBA season progresses and the race for Rookie of the Year continues to heat up, it's important to remember that these players are human beings first and foremost. Angel Reese's podcast has provided an important glimpse into the darker side of fandom, and it serves as a reminder that we all have a responsibility to foster a respectful and supportive community around sports. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have made it clear that they have no personal issues with one another. Their respect for each other's game should serve as a model for how we, as fans and media, approach sports rivalries. Healthy competition is what makes sports exciting, but it should never devolve into harassment or hate. At Hoop Zone Sports News, we stand by athletes like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and believe that all players deserve to compete in an environment free from abuse and harassment. Let's appreciate the incredible talent that these women bring to the WNBA and ensure that the focus remains on their accomplishments on the court. Angel Reese's claims of harassment are a sobering reminder of the dark side of sports fandom, especially in an era where social media can amplify both praise and hate to extreme levels. Reese's bravery in speaking out about her experiences should not go unnoticed, and it's up to all of us to take her message to heart. We need to do better, as fans, as media, and as a society, to ensure that athletes like Reese and Clark can perform at their best without the threat of harassment hanging over them. As we continue to follow the WNBA season and the Rookie of the Year race, let's commit to celebrating the talents of both Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark without feeding into the divisive narratives that fuel fan toxicity. These two players are the future of the league, and they deserve our respect, support, and admiration. That's all for today's episode of Hoop Zone Sports News. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis and the latest updates on all things basketball. We'll see you next time.